He handed the flight attendant a note. She almost didn't read it. She thought he was hitting on her. Just another lonely businessman on a rainy Wednesday flight. She slipped the note into her pocket without looking at it. He leaned over and said, quietly, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." She looked. Her hands went cold. That moment, November 24, 1971, is where the only unsolved skyjacking in American history begins. And more than 50 years later, nobody knows how it ends. Northwest Orient Flight 305 was a short hop. Portland to Seattle. 42 minutes in the air, 36 passengers, a crew of 6. Routine. Forgettable. The kind of flight you don't remember taking. The man in seat 18C had bought his ticket with cash. He gave his name as Dan Cooper, a detail that would later be garbled by a reporter into the name the world knows him by, D.B. Cooper. He was middle-aged. Maybe 45. He wore a black tie, a white shirt, a dark business suit, and dark sunglasses. He ordered a bourbon and soda. He paid for it. He was calm. Almost eerily calm. Florence Schaffner was the flight attendant he passed the note to. When she read it, the words were clear: he had a bomb in his briefcase. He wanted $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. If his demands weren't met, he would detonate the device. She brought the note to the cockpit. The pilot, Captain William Scott, radioed Seattle-Tacoma Airport while keeping his voice steady so the passengers wouldn't notice. The airline contacted the FBI. The FBI contacted the company. And Northwest Orient's president made a decision that would haunt law enforcement forever: they would comply. While the plane circled Seattle for 2 hours, burning fuel and buying time, the FBI scrambled to pull together the money. 10,000 bills. $20 denominations. The serial numbers were photographed. The bills were marked. The package weighed just over 21 pounds. The 4 parachutes were sourced from a local skydiving school. 2 of them were military grade. 2 were civilian. One of the civilian chutes, it turned out, had been decommissioned, its canopy was sewn shut. An accident, or a deliberate test to see if Cooper knew what he was looking at? He never touched that one. The plane landed in Seattle. Cooper allowed the passengers to deplane. He allowed 2 of the 4 crew members to leave. He kept Captain Scott, First Officer Bill Ratasak, Flight Attendant Tina Mucklow, and a flight engineer named Harold Anderson. These were his hostages. His witnesses. His only company for what came next. The money and chutes were loaded. Cooper examined the cash. He didn't count it, there wasn't time, but he riffled through the bundles with the practiced confidence of someone who'd done this before. He tied the money bag to his body with parachute cord. He gave the crew instructions. Fly southeast toward Mexico City. Stay below 10,000 feet. Keep the airspeed under 150 knots. Keep the landing gear down. Leave the cabin unpressurized. He was specific. He knew what he was asking for. He knew what those conditions meant for jumping. They took off at 7:40 p.m. It was dark. It was raining. The temperature outside was below zero. At approximately 8:13 p.m., a warning light lit up in the cockpit. The aft stairs, the rear staircase that lowered from the tail of the Boeing 727, had been activated. Captain Scott called back on the intercom. Cooper told him not to worry about it. At 8:24 p.m., the crew felt a slight change in air pressure. A subtle shift in the plane's tail. Something had changed at the back of the aircraft. They landed in Reno, Nevada, as planned. The FBI was waiting. They swept the cabin. They found Cooper's black clip-on tie. His mother-of-pearl tie clip. 2 of the 4 parachutes, unused. And nothing else. D.B. Cooper was gone. The manhunt that followed was one of the largest in American history. The FBI called it NORJAC, Northwest Hijacking. Agents searched a 200-square-mile stretch of wilderness in southwestern Washington. They interviewed hundreds of suspects over the years. They cataloged over 1,000 people who fit the description. They never arrested a single person. In 1980, a young boy named Brian Ingram was on a family camping trip along the Columbia River, about 40 miles downstream from where Cooper was believed to have jumped. He found a rotting bundle of 20s buried in the sand. Rubber-banded into 3 packets. Partially decomposed. FBI forensics confirmed the serial numbers. They matched. Approximately $5,800 of D.B. Cooper's ransom money, returned by the river. The remaining $194,000 has never been found. The discovery raised more questions than it answered. How did the money get there? Did Cooper land nearby and lose the bundle crossing the river? Did he die in the jump and float downstream? Was the money planted? Had it simply washed there over years of current and flood? The terrain where Cooper jumped is brutal. Dense forest, ravines, near freezing temperatures, zero visibility, a 170-mile-per-hour wind blast in total darkness. Most experts say that without a jumpsuit, without proper gear, without knowing exactly where he was, survival was close to impossible. The FBI's working theory for decades was that he died on impact, or shortly after. But no body was ever found. No parachute. No remaining cash. No trace. Over the years, dozens of men confessed or were named by family members as the real D.B. Cooper. A Florida antiques dealer. A Vietnam veteran. A former paratrooper. A man named Robert Rackstraw, who was investigated twice and cleared twice. Every lead dissolved. Every confession fell apart under scrutiny. In 2016, the FBI formally suspended active investigation of the case. After 45 years, they were done. The file remains open, technically. But no agents are assigned to it. The case is, for all practical purposes, closed without resolution. What we know is this: a man bought a plane ticket with cash, hijacked a commercial flight in broad daylight, extorted $250,000 from an airline, parachuted into a Pacific Northwest wilderness in a November rainstorm, and was never seen or heard from again. What we don't know is everything else. Who he was. Where he landed. Whether he survived. What he did with the money. Whether he's buried somewhere in the forests of Washington state, or whether he walked out of those trees, changed his name, and lived a long, quiet, ordinary life, knowing that he'd gotten away with the one thing no one else ever had. The passengers on Flight 305 said he seemed relaxed. Polite, even. He tipped Florence Schaffner. He thanked Tina Mucklow before the jump. He was not frantic. He was not desperate. He behaved like a man executing a plan he'd thought through carefully, for a very long time. The FBI's last public statement on the case noted that whoever D.B. Cooper was, he did not appear to have had any formal parachute training. He may have simply been fearless. Or reckless. Or already out of options. Somewhere between Portland and Reno, in the dark and the cold and the rain, a man stepped off the back of a plane with $200,000 strapped to his chest. And the world never found him. If you want more stories like this, cases that rewrote history, crimes that broke the rules, mysteries that no one has ever solved, subscribe and hit the bell. New video every week.